Statesville, you know the place to go. Drum Landscape Supply, where gardens grow. From Mooresville to Cornelia, Secret to Taylorsville, they bring the dream to life, they always will. In every town, they got your back. From Moxville to Trompus, more than that. Experience hands, make your dream complete. Drum Landscape Supply, your garden suite.
Good morning, LKN. It is Friday, 7:45, so we are joined by Jason Drum. I'm sorry, it's not 7:45, it is 8:45. We're joined by Jason Drum, just like we are every Tuesday and Friday with Drum Landscape Supply, over 10,000 offerings located in Statesville. Jason Drum, we've got Patrick Reynolds here with us today as well, so we're going to have a couple of user-submitted questions that we got for you, but first off, what do we do in this extreme temperature change? You know, I know when it goes from warm to cold, we have to, kind of cover our plants or take care of our plants. But when it goes from hot to cool, do we need to do anything or just encourage them and talk to them and tell them that they're still doing okay?
I don't think they're going to need it.
No?
You know what I do whenever it goes from hot to cold is break out a cold beverage and enjoy the nice weather outside.
All right, I can get behind that one.
Yeah, so that's what these plants. I mean, the plants are going to really like it. So it's just a break. I know our irrigation system is going to like it as well. We can cut down on the amount of watering we're doing. So basically, if you've been watering twice a week for this next week, you can probably get away with once a week. But just know that it's short-lived. But it's going to be nice. So just be prepared for the heat to return because it always does in August. Unless we have a cool August like we did, I think that was 3 years ago. But then the heat returned back in September. So we're still in summer, but it's just a nice time to get out and enjoy that landscape you've been working hard on all year.
We do want to remind people who maybe didn't grow up here that this is what we might call a fake fall. Don't get too excited. Don't pull out your pumpkin spice just yet because it'll come back. It'll come back in September. Sometimes even early October, we'll get another really warm snap come back to us. Yeah. I do want to ask you. So
we've had 90s.
Yes,
we've had 90s into early October several times, and so it's not, it's nothing out of the ordinary. Just getting prepared for the fall is what we're doing now.
We've had a good bit of rain on the south side of the lake over at my house. The last week, we've had a couple of little pop-up thunderstorms and things. So I did what you recommended, Jason. I got the rain gauge, and as I was on my way out this morning, I looked at it and said, so I got the rain gauge, but I don't remember how much water we need for the yard. It's there, though, and I make sure I empty it after it rains, but I looked at it, and I was like, I think it's at 1.5. How much rain, if you did put the rain gauge out, how much should you have every week so you don't have to water your lawn?
Yeah, that's a great question. So turf-type tall fescue lawns in our area generally would 1 inch of water a week. So if you could just pray that up, exactly 1 inch a week, that would be great. But that's the ideal amount for a turf-type tall fescue lawn. So our average rainfall for 12 months in this area is about 45 inches a year. We've had heavier, we've had higher totals a lot lately over the past 5 years or so, thankfully, and thankfully not too much. But 1 inch of water a week is ideal. And if you get that much, then you're pretty much good to go.
Okay. We do have a listener submitted question from Hope. I've heard the term before, bush hog. I don't know if all of our listeners know that term, but that's basically when you cut the overgrowth, Patrick, if you didn't know that southern term there. The best time to bush hog or to cut that overgrowth, when would that be?
So generally it's going to be something like the middle of the summer. So we're kind of a little bit past that, but it's fine to do it now, but it'll regrow again. And then you cut it once you get into the earliest part of the fall, so it doesn't regrow again. So, bush hog actually comes from the actual product name, kind of like, Jeep or Kleenex. Bush hog is actually a product name that does land clearing. But it's kind of like the farmers do for wheat crops. They do it, after a good growth in June generally, and then again in the last part of the warm season. So usually September, and that'll get you by. I think City of Statesville requires at least 2 times a year if you own property within the city to be bush hog like that.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. What's the right tool to use for that? Is it a bush hogger, or are there other tools that you could use for something like that?
Well, yeah, for that type of application, you want to use something that's going to be real heavy duty, like the bush hog, that can go in there and cut saplings. If it gets accidentally gets a piece of trash in there, it's not going to ruin it. Whereas if you're out there with your lawnmower trying to mow, 12 to 18 inches, you're going to be in trouble. So those bush hogs are PTO driven, meaning that they're driven off a little motor, the motor of the tractor. So they have a little bit more power. Of course, you got to stand clear, but that's what you see, along the interstates. Whenever you see the mowers, you get the signs out there for mowers ahead. They're basically using a bush hog to clear those lots. And if you notice, they'll do it about 2, maybe 3 times a year, depending on the amount of rain and the temperatures.
So now as we're heading into this weekend, it's going to be cooler, maybe a little bit of rain this weekend, and then we're looking at next week with the cooler temps. What should we be doing for our lawn? Seating's right around the corner.
Yep.
We got our cold drink out there on our lawn, just enjoying the view right now. But what kind of things should we be thinking about as we're looking at seeding season coming up?
Yeah, so if you've got a bunch of weeds in your lawn, if you're looking to improve the overall health of your lawn, now would be a good time, especially with these cooler temperatures coming in, to go ahead and spray those weeds out within your lawn. Also, what some people do is they say, I'm just ready to start over. Well, we're almost there to the point of where you can just spray out those bad patches, if you will, that don't have any grass with Roundup, or we always sell a generic glyphosate. And that is the total vegetation killer, meaning that it's going to kill everything there. But if you have some grass there and you have some weeds mixed in, broadleaf or crabgrass is a big thing this time of year. We've got selective herbicides that will take those and target those certain pest weeds and then keep your grass there. So especially with temperatures not going to be above the maximum, which is 85 degrees for spraying most herbicides, this would be a great week to get out there and do that. Not only because of the temperatures on the chemical label, but also just getting out there and doing it yourself. So, it'll wear you out to be out in 95-degree heat trying to do a lot of these things. So just getting the lawn prepared, doing a soil test, maybe like we've talked about, and then, just thinking ahead for the future there. If you have a soil test that says you need to add lime to it, pelletized lime, this is a great time to do that because regular pellet lime takes about 2 to 3 months before it shows its effectiveness. But thankfully we have new technologies with concentrated lime now that works quick. So, but yeah, it's time to start thinking about it. If you just don't know where to turn, we're here to help, here at Drum Landscape Supply, either reaching out directly to us, coming by, or just sending us an email or a text message.
Jason, I've learned so much from you since you've been joining us on Good Morning LK, and I've learned, Patrick, lime is not squeezing my margarita. It's not pouring my margarita on the lawn. Don't do that. I've learned that don't aerate your yard with the spike shoes that I bought on Amazon. I've learned that as well. But I love what you do, Jason. You can take a picture of your lawn. You can come and ask you guys what to do. A question that I did have as well, if someone, like maybe they're renting, they're in an apartment, they're in a condo, they don't really have the lawn that they can take care of. Do you guys offer anything that they can have as far as maybe some plants for a patio, a porch, or indoor plants as well?
Yeah. Well, we don't really do any indoor plants, but we do a lot of plants for containers. We also have some nice glazed pottery that we sell, that you can put on your porch, and we got the plants to put in there. So that's a something that people always want to know too. What can I put in this container that's going to last more than a few months? And we'll ask them about sun exposure. About do you like to water or do you want to just leave it alone? Things like that. If you're looking for evergreens, we've got a great selection to put in there. A lot of flowering shrubs do well in containers too. So we've got a little bit of everything for the outside of your home. Just a few of our plants can be grown indoors as well as outdoors. But yeah, we're here to help your space become what you want it to be, even if it is just a small patio space.
Yeah, that's great. And then another thing I've been noticing, Jason, is how people are placing the boulders around their homes and in neighborhoods. So that's something that you mentioned. You guys carry a wide range of boulders, and it's just a nice way to create that landscape looking very natural in your backyard. So I've noticed some that look like tombstones, but you guys can help kind of, you've got some there in your yard right now. Yeah. So Tell people
Yeah.
about like what that selection process is like and how they get placed in the yard too.
Yeah, so it is. There's a certain touch about putting rocks in your yard because yes, I've seen the tombstone look many times. You want to try to make it look like like a mountain scene. So that means having them kind of all face the same direction, be the same similar colors, things of that nature. But yeah, just coming by, we have a huge selection of boulders, literally tons and tons and tons sitting out there. And it changes about every couple of weeks. We'll get a new load in because it is one of the more popular items we sell. And so, yeah, you can come by, if you have a small, depending on the size of the boulders, what kind of equipment you might need. We do not actually place the boulder within your landscape at Drum Landscape Supply, but a lot of our contractors that we sell regularly to will. So if you need help doing that, we'll be glad to give you their number. But basically, if you've got something 500 or 600 pounds, you can use hand trucks to move them within your landscape. So there's tricks of the trade that we can help you with. But the main thing on boulders is finding the one that really speaks to you, if you will. There's a lot of them out there, a lot of different shapes and sizes. Some have moss on them or lichen. Some have more of a lighter gray, some more of a darker tan. So just kind of coming out, and if that's something that you like, then we can help you figure out how to work it into your landscape.
Sounds great. Your one-stop landscape shop, Drum Landscape Supply, located in Statesville. Thanks so much for joining us, Jason. Justin will be back on Tuesday, so you'll get to talk to him about all the fun things again. So thanks so much for joining us, guys. And thank you, Patrick, for joining us today on Good Morning Yesterday. And thanks to all of our guest co-hosts. Thanks to Bill and CJ and everybody helping me keeping this going this week. So Justin will be back on Monday. He'll be back to join us.
You're awesome, man.
Thanks, guys. See you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend,
Jason.
everybody.
Expert hands and friendly smiles, Drum Landscape Supply goes a mile